It's always a joyous occasion to see our friend Shea Flynn from the Memphis City Council. Today he's accompanied by 4 different bodyguards and a security team who came in and scoured the station before they brought him in.
You mean heartless thief Shea Flynn?
Yeah.
As pointed out by one of the emails that we've gotten here at mail@drakezeke.com.
Yeah, well, damn it, man, it's a no-win situation. I've read this and felt the compassion that you feel for your fellow man. As you mentioned here 2 weeks ago, this was an issue of one thing against the other. Do you take away people's benefits and their insurance and sacrifice property taxes and the citizenry of a metro area like this? I mean, it's a trade-off, one or the other. You guys voted 7-5. The mayor chose not to attend. Janice Full-of-Love called him a coward, for he said he had done his job by presenting to you in mid-April what he had to present, and his presence would have been a distraction, and he didn't want to fool with the drama, nor did anybody else. But you showed up. And so what do you make of this a few hours after the event has gone down?
I think it's important, and I think one of the things that was lost in the discussion yesterday was we're not done. I mean, whether you like what we did or hate what we did, it's not over. Okay. I mean, the hole is that big, and that was the frustrating thing for me yesterday, is it was the straw man arguments of, oh, if you just take this out of the CIP budget, that works for the operating budget. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. If you just cut here and then the problem's solved, it's like at one point Councilwoman Halbert said, well, we'll just stop spending on CIP this year and use that money to fix the problem. Well, our $84 million CIP budget, had we cut it out completely, it would have been a $6 million saving in the operating budget. That's it, which was a drop in the bucket compared to the hole that we were looking at. It would have been a 40-cent tax increase this year. That was your other alternative.
Right.
And a lot of council members, you'll notice, spoke very passionately about how what we did yesterday was horrible and we should be ashamed and how can we sleep at night. Not one of them proposed the alternative. There was a lot of, well, we need more information so we can find another alternative. If there was another alternative, we would have done it. We've been looking at this for months.
And how long do you need to gather information? Why do you wait till the day of to start asking for information when you've been sitting here for 4 years saying this is coming and nobody listened till yesterday?
Well, because they keep waiting for someone else to come up with
fix the problem.
A quick fix that is a win-win for everyone, and that's just not the situation we're in. That, if you were against this, and a lot of people were, and they're intelligent, good-hearted people, and I don't. But they weren't being honest about. I'm talking about my fellow council members here about what the true alternatives were, and they didn't come up and say, "I move that we restore the OPEB benefits for the retirees and increase the tax rate by 40 cents,
right?
Which is what it would have taken.
No solutions, just lots of bitching.
Yes. So
okay.
I hated in the prior budget year. I fought for those retirees not to have their premiums raised to continue the level of service. We just reached a point where we could not afford it. There's the healthcare exchange. There's Medicare for those, and we are still covering those who wouldn't be covered by that. I mean, it's not a pleasant thing, and it's not a good thing, and I understand people hating me and being mad, but we did the best we could.
But the question arises, I think, again, on some level, what do people deserve? What are they entitled to? And what is
there something
a gift?
Is there something in writing somewhere where this was all agreed upon and signed off on that,
Yep.
Are you breaking a contract basically?
No, it's not a contract. There were promises made to some of these people, back in the 60s in some cases that were made.
But insurance is not a civil right, as someone said.
Right. Right. Health insurance.
It's a benefit.
It's a benefit. It is a benefit, and there's everybody in the country is going through this turmoil in the healthcare industry and how we receive and deliver. There's a lot of change going on with the Affordable Care Act. That's doing a lot of things to prices. I know in our private company, we saw a huge increase and we had to have a massive change in the plan because of it, because just the fiscal reality, it went up 40%, the cost. And, that's just where we are, and we have to react to those circumstances. We had a really, really limited number of options. That's what I think that if I could get across to the listenership is, I think what we did was correct. I'll never call it the right thing to do because, it just sucks. I hate this job.
Well, it was
today. I hate
it. Was a sacrificial move. It was one or the other. How many city employees are there?
All totaled, because here we're talking about retiree health care, and then
Okay.
there's an increase in the 24% starting on October 1st for the active employees. There's about 10,000
Okay.
total population.
So this
10 to
affects
12,000.
how many people directly and immediately, or come the due date?
10,000 and their
Okay.
families.
So
depending
those
on how
so
they have families.
those 10,000 are affected, but the metro population is not affected via a property tax. So that's your trade-off.
That is
So
a
those
trade-off.
people aren't pissed off, but the city employees want to hang you all by the neck till dead.
Yeah, they're not. If looks could kill, I would have been dead about 600 times yesterday.
So what does Tommy Malone do now? What does Mike Williams do now? What is their next move in this never-ending chess game?
I don't know. I think the people of Acre, I think they will. They said yesterday they were going to file a lawsuit. I believe.
And
they
the
will.
grounds are what?
I'd have to go back and reread their letter, and I don't want to, jump on their legal arguments.
Is
or
it
anything.
an emotionally driven thing, or is there basis in fact of a legal nature?
No, there's always a reason to sue somebody. You can always find that, but
Sure.
I don't.
I may sue you too, just cause.
And you probably should,
Yeah.
but I think that I don't blame Acre. This is what they're there for, to represent these people, and they're going to represent them to the hilt as they should do.
Okay. Shea Flynn is here, and there are some emails too, I guess. Are any of them civilized enough to read?
Well, this one says, there are options, and Shea has said that before, meaning you had no option but to increase the property tax or do away with the retirees' insurance.
That was pretty much it.
This is only because the mayor and the council refused to tackle the real options, the dozens of mayoral appointees, i.e. a driver who makes 90 grand a year, the excessive number of management personnel and fire, police, and every other division of the city, and the special pet projects. And instead of cutting these positions and trimming the size of government, you guys took the easy route and went for the most vulnerable target there is, the retirees. Former employees with heart disease and cancer and many other diseases, and condemned these people to death or at least bankruptcy, and it seems that no one could care less. What about the people that gave 30 plus years of their life to this city? Now they've got less money to pay out. And we've had emails from other people that are talking about after paying this new insurance, their paycheck's going to work out to about $175 a month, what's left of their retirement to live on, to pay their expenses. And there are going to be tough stories all over from these 10,000 people that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know how you counter it. I don't know what the answer is to that one.
Well, a couple things. A, God help us if this was the easy road. It's not. As a politician, and again, scumbag politician here, the easy road is to just keep kicking the can down the road, and we'll let some other legislative body deal with it through bankruptcy court. That's the easiest road.
Or just have the state come in and let them do it.
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we took. And people did care. You could care less. No, this was not a pleasant thing to do. But let's get back to the meat of it, because there it is.
Well,
there's the false choices.
Your opening comment about that this isn't over.
Right.
So tell us more about what that means.
Well, you got to remember that before OPEB had a cost of $28 million a year.
What is OPEB?
That's the other post-employment benefits.
Okay.
That's the retiree health care. $28 million a year was what it cost, but it had an unfunded liability of $1.3 billion. So if you look at it comparing it to the pension issue, that meant what we should have been contributing was $90 million a year out of your taxes. Plus, on the pension side, we've got a $60 million deficit that we have to come up with. $60 million more, $70 million more over here. $130 million that has to be come up with revenue. So the idea that, you know, when people talk about the mayoral appointees and the whatever the thing that always shows up in comment section, the majority of those are librarians and city attorneys and, you know, these other positions. If we cut the entire administration, everybody, just they had to take a hike, it would not fill this hole. You know, those were just not real options. We still have a long way to go. We still have to come up with $30 million next year.
But the hole has been created by what? Do we go back to this '08 thing? Is that a part of the blame area, or how did it get so big and so unfillable?
Part of it was the '08 thing. Part of it is just the richness of the benefits. We can't afford them anymore.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a declining property values, when you're losing 2,000 people a day, when you are losing good jobs here, I mean that's what the city's up against.
Yeah.
You know, I mean if that wasn't happening, if we had enough tax money coming in, no one would think about cutting this stuff.
Right.
I mean it wasn't on the radar. We've had tough budget years since I've been on the council, and this has never come up. But this year, after the state law with the pensions, what we have to do here, we ran out of room. And I understand people not liking the choice and not liking me, and I'm fine. That's part of the job.
Well, 7 of you voted for it and 5 against. So I mean, it's. So I guess the question is, what happens next? And was there any discussion of raising property taxes in lieu of the benefit cutting? Nobody had the balls to suggest that,
No,
right?
No, I said we have 2 options. We don't need to delay. If you're not going to do this, here.
So God
do
forbid that
this.
we use that phrase, raise taxes, when it's an election year next year. Is that pretty much it?
I don't know if I say this very honestly. $30 million. That's what new revenue. That's what we're going to have to come up with next year. You're not going to have OPEB to go to. You're not going to have these other things. You know, we're still going to be talking about this. This is not over, and that's the key thing.
Yeah, it's really hard to create optimism in this city sometimes because of things like this, and this is going to be around for a bit, and we'll be bouncing around. I don't know what happens next. Do you? I mean,
now the lawyers come out.
Yeah.
The lawyers are going to come out, and but that's part of the process. That's part of the system. You know, we can't get angry about that.
That's where all the money goes eventually, though. It seems like sometimes.
Well, there just really is no answer. There are a bunch of unhappy people today.
There's no happy, optimistic, as you were saying, choice.
It's just really difficult.
Choices,
Yeah,
tough
right.
choices, and you make the tough choices so you can get the city into a position where you can be optimistic
Right.
about it, where you can have faith in the future of it.
So does this at least keep the state people out of our business for a while because a decision was made, like it or not?
For this year, I mean, next year is coming. Next year, and this is not over. That's just what I want the listenership to take away is if you think this is the end of this, you haven't been paying attention.
And on a good point, we had an email from a listener just a second ago saying, then how are Nashville and Dallas and places like that sending in people to recruit our cops and firefighters? How are they able to do it and we're not?
And Little Rock can do it, as Mr. Malone pointed out on Monday.
Nashville right now has about 100 new citizens a day. Most of them are from West Tennessee. I mean, they're growing. They're red hot right now. Their property value is going up, and up. We're losing businesses. We're losing industry, and growth cures everything. we have not been in a status of growth. We've been contracting, and the only thing that's been growing has been the cost of delivering the services. We're delivering them to less people.
Yep.
We're spreading out the area over it, but that brings up questions about annexation and stuff. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do in a lot of areas, but I mean, Nashville, we couldn't be in a more opposite position than they are. So of course they're going to be able to come in here and recruit, train police officers, and that's a danger with what we're doing. Tommy Malone was talking about that on your show on Monday, and he's not wrong. But how do you balance these things? And I think we got it correct. I wouldn't say right. I think we got it correct, but intelligent minds can disagree.
So what are your plans for the future?
Are you
After this is over with?
going to stay in politics? If we were to ask your wife if you were going to stay in politics.
Hell no.
Well, I don't know. It's an ugly business, isn't it? It really is tough. So now, does Mayor Horton come out of his office and start talking about some of these issues, or
Is he done?
I mean, I don't want to bust on AC, but he has a number of issues to deal with. It seems like, and he's been rather low key of late. And does the blame go to him? Although it's not really his fault, I don't guess. I don't know. Everybody wants to point a finger at somebody. I'm not sure who the finger pointee should be.
People, there's plenty of blame to go around.
Yeah.
Whoever they're blaming, they're probably right, but they're not telling the whole story.
Yeah.
So that and that's not blaming someone isn't gonna
Fix it.
Gonna help the retiree that's having to pay
yeah.
more for health care now. They're not gonna help the situation. We just have to make choices and move forward.
We just got to blame Obama. That's what you do. Just do that, like everybody else does.
Obama.
Damn it. Well, I don't know what else to say about it. It's an ugly business, and the vote has been cast. But as you say, I think that the takeaway from this is that this ain't over. And there's a lot more drama to come. Well, thanks for showing up. You could have easily called in sick, but you didn't, because you aren't a quitter, and we appreciate that. And today, do you have one of those Kevlar vests?
I don't, but man, y'all are really starting to freak me out with all this security.
I'm gonna have to buy you one. Thank you. So y'all meet again in 2 weeks just to kind of hang out and have cocktails and do Jello shooters, or what?
2 weeks is in July.
Yeah.
For the first week in July will
The
be our next
25th.
meeting.
Okay.
And then we still have the pension issue, the design plan.
Boy,
change.
that's going to be a lot of fun too.
So yes, this is
Maybe you should
miserable.
go on vacation for about 6 months.
I might.
Okay.
I might.
Now, and a question: do you live in the area that you represent?
I do.
Okay,
I
we're checking with everybody.
Yeah.
'Cause I do. Drake does. We wanted to make sure.
I
that
do
you
not have a copy of my long form birth certificate though.
You probably should
is
get
that
it.
going to be a problem?
Yeah, probably, because you may have changed your name for all we know.
Well, I have.
Oh, Lord. Thank you, Shea Flynn. We will see you next time we do this stuff.